Well, Lamar Jackson almost tapped out. He had a bunch of bonehead plays, but he did have a 13-yard touchdown to Mark Andrews. Just lob it up and let Andrews catch it in the third quarter, and that was enough. He had not one, not two, not three, but 4 interceptions, and Baltimore still wins the game. 16-10, they slip past the anemic Cleveland offense in the Sunday night football game. Now, Lamar Jackson was terrible, but they won the game. Baker Mayfield was also farting in the wind, and since the better story is in the losing locker room, the better story here is on the Cleveland side of things, and Baker Mayfield's been hanging on by a thread for a good stretch of time now. It has not gone the year, the way of Mayfield, and a very important year, right? This is a huge year for Baker Mayfield. The Browns are still contemplating whether or not to give him the massive contract extension and lock him down with a bunch of guaranteed money in Cleveland, and the clock is ticking, and every one of these performances by Baker Mayfield makes that a little more uneasy if you're the Cleveland Browns. And since the better story is on the losing side, there was one comment in particular that I want to highlight here as we talk about this game. Kevin Stefanski, the genius of a year ago, who's now the village idiot, Kevin Stefanski, who is the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He was asked point blank if a change at quarterback during the bye week is a possibility, and Stefanski said, quote, no. Then he asked the inquisitive reporter the question back. He said, let me ask you a question. Why would we do that? No, we're not doing that, he said, close quote. All right, so let us discuss. The question, is it that outrageous to think that Baker Mayfield deserves to be benched? Does he deserve to keep his starting job based on performance? And if you ask the question, does he deserve to keep the starting job in Cleveland? I'm shaking my head no. I've got cyanide, Humpty Dumpty, and menu. And we'll connect all of this together in the MALLER monologue. Now, first of all, this is, I believe, much like what I do for a living, radio, where we get graded based on how many people download our podcast and listen to the live show. It is a results-based business. Baker Mayfield doesn't have a forever contract. He's trying to get a forever contract. And if you are truly judged based on your performance, this is not an established legacy player. The answer here is it's an Occam's razor situation. Very straightforward. There's no need to make this more complicated than it needs to be. We're talking about football here. This is not calculus, and they've added, the Browns at this point with Baker Mayfield, some cyanide to the brownie mix, and they've scored 17 points a game over the last 5 weeks, and that number's even inflated when you include the 41-point total that's in the last 5 weeks. So it's actually a lot lower than that. And Baker Mayfield, this is very simple. Again, Occam's razor. Simplest answer is the way to go. Baker Mayfield, in this moment here, if you watch the Browns, Baker Mayfield is simply not getting the job done. It's not that hard. The last 5 weeks, Mayfield's passer rating is under 80. He's completed 56% of his passes, and it's just painful to watch him sling the ball down the field for the Browns. It's not working. I have no skin in the game. I'm not a Cleveland Brown apologist. In fact, I've been called a Cleveland Brown hater over the years. But if the Browns have any intention of getting in the playoffs, Baker Mayfield's not going to lead them down the path. He does not have a flashlight. The path is dark. It is dangerous. He has no weapon. His arm is not a weapon at this particular point. Now, secondly, to expand on this train of thought even further, all right, Lamar Jackson, and I watched this Sunday night game because I'm a glutton for punishment. Lamar Jackson was trying to give the win to the other team. Right? He was saying, listen, I don't want the W. You take the W, Baker Mayfield. You need it, right? And the delivery of the win was at Baker Mayfield's front door. And Baker Mayfield, it was knock, knock. Who's there? This is the delivery service. I've got a W from Lamar Jackson. All you have to do is sign. You get the W. Baker Mayfield does not answer the door. He does not sign the proof of delivery, and poof goes the W into the loss column. But Lamar Jackson had 4 interceptions. Very rarely does a quarterback stand in the winner's circle in that situation. Baker Mayfield's Browns turned those 4 interceptions into a grand total of 3 points. That's it, 3 points. And the proof in the pudding on this night, Sunday Night Football, Baker Mayfield completed less than 50% of his passes for less than 7 yards per attempt, 6.6 yards per attempt, was sacked a couple times, and just sucked at a time you cannot suck. And there were 3 consecutive Ravens drives that ended in interceptions. And it wasn't great defense by the Cleveland Browns. Like, Lamar was just giving the ball. He was tossing it up, and the Browns just happened to be in the area and were picking the ball off, and yet only 10 points. And the biggest indictment of Baker Mayfield is the fact that you only get 10 points. The Ravens have the NFL's coming into play here, the NFL's 31st ranked pass defense. 31st in the NFL. So you combine that, getting 4 turnovers, 2 of them in really good field position for the Cleveland offense, and you get 3 points out of that? Only the Jets have been worse at stopping the pass and containing the opposing quarterback in terms of passing yardage this season. The only team worse than the Ravens. That is an emasculating situation. Now, Cleveland has an easy out. They've got it's just laid out for them. It's obvious. It's all right there in front of you to stop playing Baker Mayfield and to save face and say, well, Baker will come back next year. Play the Humpty Dumpty card from the bottom of the deck. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. That's Baker Mayfield. Boom! See you later. Baker Mayfield. Put him in the injury tent, and dare I say, Case Keenum. At the very worst, Case Keenum is a lateral move at this point. It's not necessarily an upgrade, but you're not getting worse, and it's at least the same. And it's not Baker Mayfield. Now, final thought. As for the Ravens, they get the victory, and they move to the number one seed in the AFC. They're the top dog, and if they continue to win, they'll be the number 1 seed. They have the bye week, only 1 bye in the NFL, 1 week off for the number 1 seed, a very wobbly number 1 seed. Very, very wobbly. John Harbaugh's team, you talk about not winning style points, that is the Ravens in a nutshell. Had an ugly game against the Miami Dolphins, and then they came back here, had a little extra time, and too close for comfort. Too close for comfort. They are the ugly ducklings of number 1 seeds at this point. Of course, you can make the same argument about Arizona. Arizona lost to Carolina, and they blow, and also lost to Green Bay, and they had guys who are delivering packages, catching passes. There's a lot of fraudulent teams out there. The Ravens, though, are 18-2 in primetime games now under John Harbaugh. So they were already 17-2. They can stack on another win on the stack of pancakes there for the Ravens. However, not aesthetically pleasing. And if you look at John Harbaugh's team right now, and you look around, you're like, wait a minute here. This menu item next to the Ravens, it's Sloppy Joe's or Sloppy John Harbaugh's. Because all season long, as smooth as a nice rocky beach would be the Ravens. They've had defensive meltdowns. The turnovers have popped up. And they have the number 1 seed in the AFC. Lamar Jackson, nobody wants to say, hey, he's not playing that well, because you're not supposed to say that because he won an MVP award. And once you win an MVP award, you're insulated. I'll be the only person to say Lamar Jackson is not playing very well for the Ravens, and they're winning in spite of that. They're overcoming the mistakes. But here we are, well past the midway point in the NFL season, and Lamar's passer rating, his quarterback rating is below 88 on the season. He's got 15 passing touchdowns and 12 interceptions. The running makes up for some of that, but not all that. And what I'm trying to say here is it is not a sustainable path for the Ravens. It is an unsustainable road. So either the defense is going to have to get much, much better, which is possible, but I haven't seen that yet, or Lamar Jackson is going to have to cut down on all the mistakes. Some combination of that's going to have to happen, or the Ravens do not scare anyone. And you're going to look at them and say, well, please, come on. It's ridiculous.